I delayed harvesting for a day or two to allow my sunflowers to get a little bit bigger and make it easier to get the sunflower hulls off. And these are ready to be harvested today. And they will be harvested with 3 brassica trays and 1 radish tray. So 5 trays is a harvest. One of the issues I have is I have 9 spaces under the lights in my setup, and luckily I have overflow. I've made these 2 additional spaces, and actually I could increase that quite a bit by setting this up as a grow area. But the issue that I have is anytime you slow down your harvest, you get a backup. You fill your spaces under the lights, and you use up all your trays. I currently have 18 perforated trays. I have more. I think I have 20 or maybe more solid trays, but now I'm using all of my perforated trays, and so I need to harvest to get some more trays. So what this is coming to is when you have a small system, like a 9-space system that I have in this rack, you probably want to take your crop, if you're doing it twice a week, you want to take your crop times 2 and add a few spaces. My crop right now is 5 trays, times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So right now I've got these 9 plus those 2 is 11. But I can adjust my crop size, and the other issue I have is I'm producing too much. I'm producing about 400 grams too much every harvest. So I've got twice a week harvest, and one of the harvests covers 3 days of eating, and one of the harvests covers 4 days. And so I'll calculate it out by the 4-day when I go through this. But the whole purpose is to produce food for one person. Now I actually give away some to a neighbor, and my wife eats some, but not a whole lot. So how much do we really need? This is what I have left over from my last harvest, and I'll do a quick check of this. So for example, this one's 150 grams. For me, that would be typical 1 day. Oh. And this one's 140. This one, $95. I would say for most people this would be 1 day's worth. So just to save me the math, I'm gonna tear this out. And I'm throwing away 384 grams. And I'm throwing it away because my harvest is coming up in a few minutes. So generally what I need is, I think I need about 150 grams per day. You could even say 200 if you were eating this morning and night. I generally just eat it for breakfast and lunch. And if we look at a 4-day period between harvests, that means I need 600 grams for me. I give away 150, and maybe my wife eats 50. So 800 grams would be my target harvest amount. And in fact, I'm doing about 1,300 roughly, and here you see I've almost got 400 left over, and I tried to eat as much as I could, but if you eat more than, say, 200 grams of microgreens, you can get some indigestion. It basically gives you constipation. It's not horrible, it's just uncomfortable. And my solution is that now I'll eat fruit and a cup of beans, cooked beans, with it together, and that seems to solve the problem. I don't eat more than 200 grams a day. So what do? I've got too many trays for my 9-tray light system, and I'm producing too much. Well, the simplest thing is to reduce the number of trays. So instead of doing 3 trays of brassica, maybe I'll do 2, 1 radish and 1 sunflower. So suddenly 4 trays per harvest gives me a little bit more room with my small system. Now what I think I'll do is I'll take one of the brassica trays and mix seed up from various types of brassica, and that'll give me some variety. Honestly, I'd like to have more brassicas. Brassicas have the most nutritional value, but there's no easy way to split a tray, and I could go with smaller trays, but I've invested in these, so I think I'm going to stick with the 10 by 20. The other thing I could do is reduce the amount of seed I use. Right now I use 250 grams of seed. They're coming up pretty thick. I could probably reduce that. I might reduce it by 10% or even 20%. But I just love those sunflowers. They taste fantastic, so I don't know if I'll even do that. So here I am back to picking sunflower hulls, and I want to thank the people that have recently talked about sunflower hulls being difficult or how to get them off. It sounds to me like the thing that I'm doing to prevent mold, which is bottom watering, is causing some of the problem with sticky hulls, because apparently when the hulls are wet, they're easier to get off. So I'm not wetting them at all. I'm watering through the bottom, and that may be part of the cause why I'm having issues with so many hulls. But honestly, I may not be having more issues than other people. So I will get to work. Oh, and also I decided that I don't mind picking sunflower hulls for myself and my family and friends, but I don't think I'm going to do this commercially. If I got to pick hulls, it's about 15 minutes a tray. So I'm getting a yield of about 600 grams on the sunflowers and anywhere between 190 and 240 grams on the brassicas and radish. This is my drying tray. Basically, I take them out of the wet stuff, spin them around, and then go through and pull out the hulls. So if I got 200 for 4 trays and 600, that would be about a 1,400 gram yield. That is wet. I try to dry it a little bit before packing it, so maybe a little less than that. Okay, I'm drying this stuff off a bit, and got some more here. I'm pretty happy with my yield. Now I need to reduce it. I'm growing too much. And so here's a system that's Whoops. There's a system that's maxed out, but it's maxed out in a good way because on the 20th, 2 days from now, I'll be able to harvest these three, and this radish. And then that will make room for the next batch. However, I think I am going to go to 2 trays of brassica instead of 3, and I'm going to reduce the seeding on the suns. That's my plan right now. This weighs out to 1,402 grams, and that is food for 4 days. I can't eat that much. Well, there you go. Got 10 single servings and 3 monster servings. I don't portion these out very good. I would guess that the small ones are 100 grams and the big ones are about 150. So could you survive on a diet of microgreens? That's kind of what I wondered. Could I produce all my own greens? And I think that if you were stuck in the desert and all you had were microgreens, beans, and fruit, your diet would be more healthy than 99.9% of the people on the face of the planet. But I think you would also need a lot of beer. So I'm trying 200 grams of sunflower seeds now instead of 250 is what I was using in the past. So here's the results. This is the waste product, which is actually going to be great for my garden. There's the trays that I need soon. Spring is starting to come. So I have not been sanitizing the trays. I did about a month ago. Now I just stack them and let them dry. So I have been trying to figure out how I can set up a microgreen operation and drive into the desert. I'm not just joking. I lived in the desert for 4 months in this camper van, and I think it would be pretty cool to be able to stay out in the desert and eat well for months at a time. Okay, everything's cleaned up, packed away, done for the day. All I got to do is remember to seed these sunflowers either tonight or tomorrow morning. Took about 2.5 hours, and that included shooting video and talking. So that's a harvest day.